You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network here on a Friday as we rock and we roll on Halloween, last day of October, getting ready, of course, for Steelers-Colts this Sunday, 1 o'clock at Acrisure Stadium. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on a typical jam-packed Friday show. Matt, how we feeling? How we doing?
I guess I'm a little under the weather, but I think I'm doing all right. And just a normal day here at the office, right?
Yeah, you look pretty skinny today, I do
Losing
say,
weight,
Matt.
and I've been working out.
Working out. You've been, I'm
You look like you've had a rough night.
I had a little bit of a rough night. I woke up, I lost all my hair. I don't know what happened. That signature head of Wes hair is now gone.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm looking as rough as you.
You must have hit it pretty hard last night, brother. Yeah.
We'll get through it together here this morning on the show, or this afternoon, pardon me, on the show. We will talk to Missy Matthews in about 10 minutes or so, get her thoughts on the sideline. But, Matt, I want to kind of jump right into this with an X's and O's question for you.
Sure.
I know that this Indianapolis Colts defense likes to play a lot of nickel, okay?
Yes, they want to play with lighter bodies, yes.
Yes. And also with that, we know that the status of Isaac Seumalo is up in the air for Sunday afternoon's kickoff. Is this still the time to bring out the corned beef package, as we've called it a couple times? How do you try and use what the Steelers can do well, use their size advantage, use that offensive line, 6 offensive lineman package, Darnell Washington, all these things, against a Colts defense that is typically lighter? That to me feels like a real kind of game within the game here.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. And first off, just so we Fridays go quick. The Colts offense might shock people that they use as much 13 personnel as they do, and they do it a lot. And the reason they do it is because they want to get a lot of linebackers and big bodies on the field and throw out of it. The Colts are great. They're great on first downs in general, but they're really good at throwing when people run and running when people throw. And so maybe the Steelers could steal a page out of that book. Now, I think the league as a whole is trying to figure out what's the best way to defend 12 personnel. Is it nickel or is it base? And a lot of it depends on what type of tight ends you have. And I think that's a big reason that the Steelers have a wide variety of tight ends. The Colts generally defend 12 with nickel, as you mentioned. They want to be faster. They want to be. Now they also have the advantage of playing with a lead sometimes too. You know,
which helps.
Which helps everything on their defense. This week, I'm not sure how to attack them. In the end, I think my number one goal, no matter how I get there, is controlling time of possession, limiting possessions for the Colts offense, helping my Steeler defense to the max. But if that means running out of 13 or jumbo, corned beef as we like to call it, and make them stay in their 3-4, or their base.
Sure.
I'm fine with that as well. But I think Mike Pursuta and Merrill and I did a show, and we were talking about this too, because there's a lot of angles of how do you play offense against this defense. Because clearly the Colts' weakest position is also corner.
Yes.
They're on backups. So you would think in a vacuum, let's just throw it all, attack, get DK on corners, and we're just going to attack through the air.
They do have like the 26th ranked pass defense, or 28th, whatever it was that we talked about yesterday in the NFL.
Yes. But that could lead to 3 and outs and not leading the time possession. So I think that's the real challenge. And I'm not exactly presenting answers, but I am trying to put avenues of approach here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think you're walking a razor's edge, and you're going to have to keep up with this team. It's one of the best teams in the league. It's one of the best offenses in the league. So how do I balance time of possession with attacking their biggest weakness and trying to get big bodies on the field, which they aren't as comfortable with? And That's why I'm not Steelers offensive coordinator. I don't know exactly how to do that. Now, I do think if you're down and you feel like you have to abandon the run, all's not lost against this group of corners too. So that's kind of, appealing. I trust Rodgers to orchestrate all the above better than anybody out there, checking to run, checking to pass, attacking one-on-ones. I think we know at this point, whether it's Austin, Metcalf, whoever, but if you're going to get one-on-ones with their corners, he's going to throw it. He's going to check to that call, and I got no problem with that whatsoever. But I still think time of possession has to be your biggest goal to get out of this game with a win, because your defense is going to hold these guys to 13,
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right. That, to me, is kind of the biggest burning question.
Yeah.
Is a Steelers offense that needs to run the football, has had success, a lot of success running the football the last few weeks.
Right, and you're good at it, right.
You're good at it. Jaylen Warren is playing at an outstanding level. I think you're as confident in your offensive line as you have been in a long time.
Agreed.
But it's a Colts defense that is susceptible. Easy for me to say. It's a Colts defense that is susceptible through the air.
Yes.
And so how do you balance that? How do you balance trying to control the clock, the snap count, time of possession, all those things, while potentially attacking what is Indianapolis's biggest weakness? That to me, Matt, is really, and particularly from the Steelers' offensive standpoint, the biggest storyline or X factor that I'm looking at here on a Friday.
1,000%. And again, I don't feel like I have a great answer of how to do all those things. I've never game planned for an NFL defense, but I think we have laid it out what the goals should be, and one thing I keep coming back to all week, and I'm not necessarily even blaming him for being conservative, but I would certainly be more aggressive on fourth downs if I was Coach Tomlin, just for that reason, whether that's – and the beauty of – this is such like a Lions-Eagles thing that goes for it all the time on fourth, the Commanders. It's so much easier on the play caller on third down.
Totally.
If he knows I got 2 downs to get this first, not 1. It's 3rd and 1 at your midfield. Rodgers, take a shot here.
Absolutely.
Because we're going to come back and can at the if it doesn't connect, we're bringing out the big boys and going to pound it.
It's 3rd and 7 here. Let's pick up 5 yards instead of the whole thing.
That's the thing I say all the time is 3rd and medium, 3rd and even long can often be a rundown. Like Saquon busted a ton of long runs against nickel, dime in 3rd and 7s last year. You know what I mean? Because you still have your big people out there, and they want you to run.
They sure do. They sure do. So there's kind of a scene setter to get us started here today on this Friday, this Halloween Friday. We will talk to the great Missy Matthews, the queen of the sideline, when we return on the other side. And much
she's
like
probably looking better than us at the moment.
She looks a lot better than us. Certainly, well, every day, but especially today. And so just like I did yesterday, if you're kind of wondering if you're listening on audio and kind of wondering, what the heck are Matt and Wes talking about? Well, why does Wes sound a little muffled maybe? Make sure you're watching this opening segment on YouTube, and hopefully you'll get a laugh out of all of that. We'll talk to the great Missy Matthews when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, having some fun on a Friday. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here on a Friday, getting you ready, of course, for Steelers-Colts Sunday, 1 o'clock at Acrisure Stadium. Joining us now, you'll hear her on the call with Rob King and Max Starks. You'll see her roaming the sidelines on Sunday. Of course, it is the great Missy Matthews. Missy, thank you for taking the time for us, as always, on a Friday. Let's jump right into it here, as this is a big one for a lot of different reasons, but I think particularly for a Steelers team that knows they have not been up to par in their last 2 performances, not wanting to drop a 3rd straight game, not wanting to drop back-to-back games at home, keeping some distance between them and the rest of the division, all these different storylines. Do you sense, Missy, I don't want to say a sense of desperation, because we're halfway through the season. It'll be November by the time this game kicks off, but it is still October. But do you maybe sense of urgency? Maybe that's the best way to put it. Do you sense any sense of urgency with this team, with this organization, as it relates to Sunday against the Colts?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like panic, that kind of thing. But I think especially with the way the 2 losses went, your first 2 back-to-back losses of the season, it's still kind of early. We're in the middle-ish portion, of the Steelers 2025 schedule. But knowing you haven't played the Ravens yet, you still have to play Cincy and Cleveland one more time as well. Oh, by the way, the Bills, the Lions, you're going through and looking and you're like, all right, this is where we kind of need to come together. And I think the defense just has a nasty taste in their mouth. And clearly the only way to get rid of it is to get a win and to show people that the past 2 games are not who you are, and go back to the sacks, the forced fumbles, the splash plays, just being a stout defense that we saw prior to that.
You mentioned the nasty taste in the defense's mouth. I mean, what was the temperature, anxiety on the sidelines halfway through the fourth quarter or so when things were really going rough?
I mean, I've only experienced one person throw a Gatorade cooler in my time on the sidelines, and that was Antonio Brown. It's more of like looking at the tablet, talking to each other, talking to TA, talking to their position coach. It's really trying to figure it out and to stop the bleeding. There's really nothing else you can do at that point. But
so it's not yelling and screaming and throwing things and tantrums and right. Yeah.
No, you're not seeing that. I mean, of course, sometimes, emotions flood over, but I always say when you go in the locker room after a really bad loss like that, when you put a camera in TJ Watt's face, Cam Hayward, just there's certain guys where when they're giving you like the 1-word answers, you're kind of like, all right, we should stop asking them questions because you can just tell that they're like biting their tongue as hard as they can because they don't have the answers right now. They're not happy. And I get it. There is a little bit of a cooling off period before the locker room opens. But, for guys like that take so much pride in their work, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and Missy, they have a lot of those guys on the defensive side of the football. A lot of all-pros, a lot of future Hall of Famers, some veterans that were added that have Super Bowl rings as well, too. And despite that, we see a lot of, it feels like miscommunication is just the way to say it. A lot of guys looking at each other, a lot of confusion. Too often, guys standing around with their palms up, looking at each other like what just happened after a play. And now you lose, I think, one of the beacons of that communication in Deshaun Elliott, and just a very untimely and unfortunate injury for him on Sunday night. How do you go about getting that ironed out against a Colts offense that, man, if you give them an inch, they will take a mile? Yeah. They're putting 30 points on everybody already. That, to me, feels like a real kind of X factor for this week.
Yeah, and maybe because it is, the hottest offense coming into your house, it does something for them in terms of, like, perfect medicine to remedy this almost. But I think, like you said, it's the penalties, the communication, not having, the right amount of guys on the field. I understand things happen, but just from a almost operational standpoint, those are things that can't happen. So whether it's simplifying things, maybe not having as many people move around. I think obviously they knew Deshaun was going to be out this week at the beginning of the week, so you have to plan accordingly. You knew Kyle Duggar was coming. He didn't practice until yesterday, but that's still 2 days of work. He's a veteran type guy. Jabril Peppers, I'm sure, is, translating the Steelers playbook for him. So it looks and sounds how it was in New England for them, and helping them out that way. But definitely, I think, the not knowing where people should be type thing, it all goes back to the communication and simplifying, and whether that's at practice, that's walkthroughs, that's just talking to each other, meetings. I mean, that's really on the players. It's not necessarily, it's more of an execution type thing, I guess I should say, that needs to be hammered out and figured somehow, some way.
So, Miss, a big thing that we've been stressing all week is a really high percentage, 47% of the points the Steelers have allowed this season has been in the fourth quarter. And to me, that just screams being on the field too much. Time of possession has been their enemy pretty much every step of the way. And in the first half against Green Bay, they controlled the clock and things went their way. They didn't score touchdowns, but that has to be the formula. Do you think this is a real ground-heavy offensive approach for those reasons? It's going to be a team effort.
Well, I think because Jaylen Warren is kind of doing what they want him to do. I saw some photos and videos of Isaac Seumalo at practice today. We haven't got the status report yet, but having him in there would obviously help because then you can do what you do with Spencer Anderson and Darnell Washington.
That'd be great, yeah.
Obviously if if Isaac can't go, Spencer would fill in, and then you have to decide, is it McCollum? Is it, Andreas Pete? Like, who's going to be the guy to possibly take that over? But I agree with the time of possession. The Colts lost time of possession last week, but they still won. This is just a team that better left off the field in all circumstances because they score touchdowns too. And I do think that the way the Packers game was going, it was only a 9-point lead at the half. I just feel like if they would have been able to get points on that first drive, bookend halftime, that would have changed a lot of things, obviously, not just the point total, but then you just feel the momentum. And I think that's where a lot of the comments after the game that some people were like, wait, they're not trying. Why did Cam Hayward say this? Why did this, Coach Tomlin say this? That penalty sucked. The offsides that was not called that they could not fix, but they could not fix it. And it is what it is. And even Arthur Smith said, hey, we still had a chance to catch that ball, but we didn't. So, you do have to be able to handle that type of adversity and move forward. But I think part of the time of possession thing is also, as you said, keeping the Steelers defense, who's clearly dealing with some injuries and some, moving people around type things, off the field, and then also not settling for the field goals or having to punt the ball, but getting the touchdowns, because then that way, at least you're adding points if you're not on the field for that long. So it's, this complementary football thing that we talk about all the time, but it's just been so out of whack for the Steelers lately that you're kind of shaking your head, how did we get here these past 2 weeks?
Yeah, and kind of staying with that, Missy, Matt and I spent a lot of time on Monday and Tuesday discussing how did we get here, what's going on with the defense, while at the same time, a lot of positive from the offense. It's kind of been almost a 180 of the conversations and what we've seen over the last few years. With that, one of the things that Matt and I talked about was, hey, it's great how reliable Chris Boswell is, right? I mean, he's unbelievable. He's going to be the franchise all-time leader in points. He's going to be in the Steelers Hall of Honor one day. But you also don't want your kicker to be the MVP, because that's kind of saying something about the rest of your roster and your offense and all those different things. We talked about it on Monday. Mike Tomlin mentioned it on Tuesday. Getting a little more aggressive, not settling for threes as often, finding the back of the end zone instead of the golden toe of Chris Boswell. With that, do you think we could see a Steelers team, especially as we've laid out here, and against a Colts offense that can certainly put up some points? Does this feel like a week when, you've got a 4th and 3 from the opponent's 32-yard line like the Steelers did last week, and maybe going for it instead of settling for a field goal, maybe operating a little bit on 3rd down in certain scenarios differently, knowing that you're going to get aggressive and go for it on 4th down? Does that feel like something that would not only help the offense, but would hopefully extend drives and keep the defense on the sideline as well, too?
Oh, 100%. I think you have the perfect quarterback who wants to be aggressive, who wants to get the 1st down, who wants to go for it on 4th down. We saw it. I can't remember what game it was where it was, Aaron's telling Coach Tomlin he wants to stay on. They pull him off. They say, we're going to kick. Then they go, never mind. You can go for the 2. That's his mentality. I mean, he is, like the conductor of this orchestra, little nod to your dad there, Wes.
Love it.
He wants to run those kind of plays, to call those kind of plays and, help the offense. And I do agree. And I think, it's interesting. I was going through Matt's lovely notes that he sends all of us every week, and the Colts are on their 2nd kicker, and this guy's never even gone from past 50. So welcome to Pittsburgh. I don't want it to pour, but a little drizzle and, cloudy weather to make his life, not so comfortable, because I was telling Max and Rob earlier today, they've played 5 home games, obviously in a dome, 2 at SoFi against the Rams and the Chargers. And the only game they've played outside so far this season was Tennessee, and it was in week 3. So, maybe they don't want to rely on their kicker so much. Not that they've really had to be quite honest, clearly when you have that type of offense. But maybe the Pittsburgh football weather could help them in some form or fashion that obviously Chris Boswell is more than attuned with and used to, that if you do have to have him kick for you, he's about as automatic as it gets.
I'm glad you brought up the Colts kicker and indoor-outdoor situation. I've been aware of it, but I never brought it up this whole time that we've been doing shows all week. So glad that got out there for our listeners. I do think that's something that could come into play for sure. Miss, the Steelers O-line to me is probably the most improved unit from week 1 till now. Do you get the impression that the play callers, the quarterback, everybody involved is starting to trust that group more and more?
100%. I mean, I remember, even training camp, Broderick Jones was dealing with an injury. It just felt like there wasn't any fluidity. Even the beginning of the season, you're like, man, like if this O-line can't get it together and hold up, like we have a 41-year-old quarterback. And I think everyone is probably pleasantly surprised from the outside. I'm sure from the inside, they'll say like, we knew this was possible, but I really think those young guys, give Broderick Jones credit, even Troy Fatano, guys who basically are starting new positions this year, NFL wise. And I just think they've been phenomenal. And obviously, Isaac is kind of the leader, the silent leader, I should say, of that unit. And I think Aaron spent a lot of time, especially in Latrobe, with Zach Frazier and Mason McCormick and all of those guys, just to kind of really get everybody on the same page. But also, he almost built confidence in them in a weird way to try to take them out of their shell, maybe as, I'm with this future Hall of Famer, I'm a second-year player, third-year player, whatever, and now all of a sudden, that's our quarterback, and we have to protect him. He broke some ice or something with them that just like flipped a switch, at least from, outside looking in terms of confidence and the continuity that I think we're seeing among that line.
Missy, great stuff as always.
Oh, I got one more.
Oh, go ahead.
Yay or nay on coconut and candy bars?
I was taking out you.
Oh, did I steal it? Okay.
I love it.
It's been a great debate all week.
So I'm a yay. I love almond joy. Like I can do it. I know that's not everybody's preference, but
just tell us you like candy corn next, Missy.
No, heck no. No candy corn. But no one in my house likes coconut but me. So like I know there's candy that no one else is gonna take. Yeah. So like I know that's just a gimme. And that's why I feel the Reese's.
That'd be a nice position to be in. I'm always trading my almond joy. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, I'm a fan of coconut and chocolate.
Okay, so what's on your don't like Halloween candy list?
Marshmallows low on my list.
Oh, anything marshmallow, heck no, I'm out.
Good. Nougats, I'm not a fan of.
Cups, Snickers, Milky Ways are okay. Kit Kats aren't my favorite. I'll eat them, don't get me wrong.
Do you have a opinion on Nerds gummy clusters?
I mean, my children are obsessed with them. I find them in my car, in our cupboard, in their rooms, in hockey bags. They're the bane of my existence. I think they're disgusting. I literally cringe when they eat them because I know it is just like a sugar rush about to explode. I'm always like 5,
sugar on top of sugar
4,
with more sugar.
3, yeah. Like, here we go. And I can only imagine how many they're going to consume just tonight. So it should be fun. I found some actually the other day and I threw them in the top of one of our cupboards that I can't even reach. So I'm like, well, they're going to get enough anyways. They don't need to know about these ones.
That's great.
That's great stuff. Missy, you'll laugh. We've kind of been, asking our guests throughout the week, just some quick hitter thoughts on Halloween candy and that type of thing. Yesterday we had, of course, Bob Labriola on like we do on Thursdays. And before we have him on, Matt's like, I wouldn't ask him about Halloween candy. Save that for Missy tomorrow.
Hey, Labs knows he's a fan of the Reese's family. He introduced me
old
to
school.
The animal crackers that are covered with the peanut butter and chocolate from Reese's.
Ooh,
I didn't know that existed.
Super good.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't let Labs, fool you. He knows a thing or two about good snack food.
Labs knows football, Labs knows candy. We'll have to. All right, Sunday.
there you go.
Sunday in the booth, I'll ask him some candy questions.
There you go.
I'll muster up the strength to do it by then. The great Missy Matthews, the queen of the sideline, kind enough to join us here on a Friday. Missy, have a good Friday. Have a happy Halloween, and we'll see you on Sunday.
All right, happy Halloween to you guys too. See you Sunday.
Thanks, Missy. There she goes. Good stuff from her as always. Touching on a lot of different bases there, and yeah, I
was long overdue to bring up the kicker and indoor-outdoor thing.
It was great.
I'm glad she did.
No, you know what? Because that was one of the things I kind of jotted down some last-minute notes of things that we hadn't talked about. That was one of the things that I had in there. And I think, Matt, if you're talking about Chris Boswell
right,
or Justin Tucker,
I don't care where they kick.
I don't care where they kick.
Or what they've done, or right, yeah.
But for a kicker that's on a little bit of rocky footing, that they clearly don't not that they've needed to, but they haven't.
They've never had to rely on him. He's definitely not their MVP.
He's definitely not in the consideration for team MVP. Hey, if it ends up being a close game down the stretch, or maybe that's one of the things that makes it a close game, you know, maybe he misses one that we would otherwise think is a chip shot, something like that. Certainly something to keep an eye on. No, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. As much as Chris Boswell has gotten the Steelers out of stadiums with wins, a lot of kickers around the NFL have cost their teams getting out of stadiums.
That would worry me
wins.
big pictures with the Colts. You know, like, man, I don't want our kicking situation to be what derails us.
Agreed. Absolutely. Because, hey, when you're playing the way they are and you have the best record in the NFL, it's hard to find weaknesses, but that could certainly be something that could be won, and maybe we'll see if that plays out Sunday afternoon at Acrisure Stadium. One more segment to go on the other side. You know what that means. It's time to get into our Friday matchup segments here for a little bit. A little 5-Star Friday. We'll talk about the key matchups between the Steelers and the Colts on both sides of the football. We'll do all that and more as we roll along. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. All right, little hectic start to the show, Matt, but I think we're on track now.
Oh yeah, we're back where we need to be.
Had some Halloween shenanigans in the first segment. For those of you that did watch on YouTube or didn't watch on YouTube, we did a little Halloween thing in the first segment.
Wow, sure.
That mask that I was wearing, great creepy mask, but it was made in 1977.
Yes.
So I borrowed it from one of our neighbors. Shout out to
I figured like your parents had or something.
Shout out to Nikki and Dan, our neighbors.
Nice.
It was their dad's. He bought it in the Strip District in 1977. It has the engraving on the back of it still.
It's holding up well.
It's great. It's scary. It's terrifying. It's holding up well. But being from the 70s, it doesn't breathe very well.
At all, I bet.
And we got about 3-4 minutes into that opening segment, and I was sweating like a greased monkey. I mean, it was not comfortable.
And you wouldn't think our jobs, and they're not, are physically demanding. But you do have to be up, and you got to talk with some energy. And, you know, like, if you're not breathing great, it's not ideal.
Great,
right, yeah.
Getting really hot and sweating.
Yeah.
I'm, like, trying to look through the one eyeball, like, how much time's on the clock, and make sure all the
mouth isn't
on.
exactly perfect for, you know, great audio. Yeah, right.
But, no, having some fun here on a Friday. But now for the rest of the show, we will obviously turn our attention to Steelers-Colts, get a little serious, and some unfortunate news, Matt. Deshaun Elliott and Daniel Aquale. It's happened. We speculated.
I know. Yeah.
But they have both been placed on injured reserve. So we'll see what that means for the rest of the roster. There will obviously be corresponding moves with that. But for now, unfortunately, that's
Duggar
official.
takes one spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. That's kind of a one-for-one swap there. Now the question obviously becomes how long are those guys going to be out? Is it going to be 4 weeks on the IR and then they can try and return, or could it be something longer term? Obviously not great there, Matt. But that is life in the National Football League, and the Steelers defense, a big week, a big challenge. That they're going to be a little shorthanded as well too, particularly on the back end of that secondary.
Yeah, real quick on Aquale, I'm a fan. I wasn't real blown away when they signed him, but he kind of won me over. When Harmon came back, though, not that he's been phased out, but he's never had quite as many snaps as I would have guessed. I mean, he's always been like 8, 9, 10, especially with Harmon in the mix. So he's a loss, but I get the impression he's probably out for the year, is the way that they made that sound, that he's not a temporary deal. We could keep an eye on Elliott, though. I mean, like some reports, I don't know what to trust. Like some are like, oh, this could be really long. We know it's 4 or more.
At least
4 isn't the end of the world. More is.
Or,
I mean, it's not end of the world, but it's not great.
No, it's not great. That would, that does take him out until the end of November.
Right.
That means he'd miss that game against Buffalo after Thanksgiving, which of course will be one where you'll really need that secondary in tip-top shape. But certainly something we will keep an eye on. But unfortunate, again, we kind of saw it coming. You could read the writing on the wall, read the tea leaves. But now it is official with those two moving to IR.
I really am interested what the safety allocation of resources is going to be.
Me too. And maybe as we kind of start talking about matchups and all these different things here, hold on, Matt. Let me hit the sounder so we can make it official, and then we'll really dive into this.
It's a 5-star matchup because we're in it.
5-star matchup. Everybody we play is a 5-star matchup because we in it.
And Matt, I know this isn't a specific matchup, but it's got to feel like that Colts offense. Steichen, Danny Dimes, Tyler Warren, all those wide receivers. Doesn't matter who's lined up at safety, we're going to attack them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is what coaches do, folks. You watch the tape, and frankly, there's not a abundance of places not to attack right now against Steeler defense.
Fair point.
I mean, there's plenty of spots to say, well, we're going to test that. We're going to test that. They haven't handled this adjustment well, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we know that there's issues. But I got to think priority number one is, boy, Elliott was a pretty good player for these guys. And the other safeties have been in and out of the lineup, inconsistent, not real playmakers. You go back and watch the tape when Elliott was out, so you have something, just to you have proof right there. Right.
There is plenty of sample of that this year earlier as well, too.
So I absolutely think that we are going to attack those safeties, and most likely with Warren. But also with deep routes, Pierce goes deep like no one else in the league, getting anyone you possibly can. And my hunch is when there's 4 defensive backs on the field, I think it'll be Ramsey at safety, Porter and Eccles.
Ramsey at safety, Porter and Eccles. Okay. Yep.
And some other safety. That's what I'm not even sure who safety 1 is at
Peppers,
this point. I kind of hope
Duggar.
It's not Clark. Is that asking too much out of Duggar immediately? Peppers is my favorite of the group, but the game he played a lot when Clark was inactive, I thought he was a real asset, played well, and was noticeably better and certainly more athletic than Clark. But since then, he hasn't played much, which I don't know how to read those tea leaves. And Thornhill's still in the mix too. And my hunch, and then it brings a question of, okay, what about when you have 5 defensive backs on the field? Well, Ramsey, Eccles, and Porter will be 3 of them. Will Slay keep Ramsey at safety and have it be your third corner? Because I think Eccles has gone past Slay. I think people probably caught on to that at this point.
Yeah.
Or is Slay that much in the doghouse, or maybe even inactive, that Ramsey becomes your slot, Eccles goes to the outside, and 2 of these safeties we're figuring out are your safeties? I just don't know. I'm just going to be really intrigued to see right off the bat.
There's not an easy answer, obviously.
It's not the easiest puzzle to build.
It is absolutely not the easiest puzzle to build. In fact, it's probably a more challenging one than most to build. I did want to, by the way, Missy texted me this, so big shout out to her. Remember with the personal day for Darius Slay yesterday, there was a lot of speculation, what's going on there, all these different things. He went down to Houston. It was his son's senior night for his high school football team today.
Okay.
So he flew down yesterday to be with his son for senior night and all those things. That's what his absence was for. So it
fair enough.
Fair enough. Something that, again, a lot of people had been speculating about. I thought it was good to just kind of put that to bed.
I'm not stirring the pot, and that doesn't sound fishy to me at all. That sounds absolutely fine. That is a fine excuse to miss a practice in the middle of the week, in the middle of the season. But would everybody have gone? I don't know.
Hey.
I'm not trying to stir the pot.
Sure.
If it was Aaron Rodgers' son, I don't think he'd have been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't know. Yeah.
I get what you're saying in that regard, but a nice follow up there from Missy, at least to some of the where.
That is good to know, though.
For Slay and his kind of listed as a personal day, I believe it was, on the Steelers' Thursday practice
Which
report.
did raise some red flags. Like, oh, that's weird.
And again, with the timing and the trade deadline and all these things, I think
Trice
there was
looming. And,
there was
right.
Trice looming. There was some fair speculation there, I think, but that at least is some rhyme to the reason. Matt, it's I don't know. Do I want to go to the trenches here next? Let's stick with the secondary since that's what we're talking about. Obviously, the talented wide receivers. But, man, it feels like this Steelers team, and we just saw a perfect example of it Sunday night against Tucker Kraft, your boy, has struggled against tight ends, and now maybe the guy who was the most reliable in that department, and Deshaun Elliott, is no longer there. Not only is Tyler Warranted talented, not only have the Steelers struggled in that department through the first half of the season, they also do a lot to just scheme him open as well, too.
Oh, yeah, they're really good at it.
It's not just running past people. It's not just in and out of his routes and in timing and things like that. He also finds himself wide open a couple times throughout a game as well, too. How are you matching up against him? What are you looking for from him? How can they go about limiting, again, a guy who is putting up rookie tight end numbers that have only ever been done by Mike Ditka and Brock Bowers?
Yeah, and to go back to the draft even, Loveland from Michigan went ahead of him.
Yes.
They were
two high tight end picks last year.
they both were between 10 and 15 or whatever overall. So they were high picks. They weren't super, super high, but they were pretty high picks for a tight end for sure. Now, one of the reasons I believe, I'm pretty much certain of it, Loveland was better in college of beating one-on-one matchups. And Michigan didn't have a ton around him. He had to beat man coverage a little bit more than Joe Average college tight end at the end, his last year, not the year they won it all with McCarthy. And he was just better refined route runner beating man coverage, where Warren, even at Penn State, to their credit, to his credit, he's a great player, schemed him up more. We're going to get him designed touches. You guys all make it easy on Warren to get the ball in space. And the Colts and Steichen have done a remarkably good job of translating that from college to pro.
Yes.
With all respect to the Big Ten, it's a lot different.
It is. The Big Ten plays good football, but it's not the AFC and the NFC.
No. I mean, everything's a little different.
Just real quick, I laugh. You see this every year. If Ohio State played the Jets, what would the line be? Jets minus 35. Get out of here with that.
Right.
That drives me nuts.
Even if it was the U back in the day, when you look at the roster and be like, there's 30 future pros on here that still lose
against the Browns
game.
Teams that won one game in 2 years, like the 0-16 and the 1-15 Browns.
They would lose every time.
They would be a 4 or 5 touchdown underdog.
Yes.
I mean, it's just get out of here with that.
And there's times they maybe even have better athletes. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Not at all.
I don't have a great answer for Warren either. Again, there was a bright spot. I thought Peyton Wilson played well.
Yeah.
And he's going to linebackers have a lot to do with that as well.
Is that going to be his kind of task number one on Sunday?
I mean, I think just physically the way they look and the way they run and his height, he's not a bad matchup for him. I don't know how much you ask of Duggar. I tend to think as a whole we might be drifting further away from as much man coverage as we've seen. And we haven't seen a lot of press, but they are a pretty high percentage man coverage team. And it just isn't working that great. Not that the zones are beautiful either, but it's probably going to be a group effort, as it always is. You got to tackle better, and you got to be better with your assignments and recognition. But you do have Wilson, Duggar, Peppers, who really haven't been the culprits. I'm not saying that the two safeties are good or bad. We just haven't seen much of them, but you could have new people doing it.
Then that, Matt, leads to me of you better win in the trenches in this game.
Yeah.
Both sides of the ball, but particularly for this Steelers defense, because if Jonathan Taylor is running wild, again, to use your Michael Jordan analogy, he can score 25 points.
He's gonna.
He can't score 45.
Yeah.
And if you can limit him in that regard, at least become a little bit more predictable, get them into down and distance scenarios. Thank you, Captain Obvious. That'll make things easier on your secondary as they're trying to figure everything out on Sunday. And Matt, kind of the biggest individual matchup in that regard to me, I mean, it's got to be Cam Hayward, right?
Oh, yeah.
A guy who is, I know this might surprise some people, but he's actually, you tweeted this out this morning, He's the third highest graded defensive player behind Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett.
But for Pro Football Focus.
From Pro Football Focus. Yeah. He also, it's a small sample size. It's only been a couple games, but he has had Quentin Nelson's number over the course of their career.
Yeah.
That, to me, is a big highlight it, circle it matchup. If Cam can do his thing there, that would mean a lot for the rest of the trenches, which would mean a lot for the rest of the defense.
Yeah. I mean, it's clearly a one-on-one heavyweight fight.
Oh,
I mean,
it's Tyson and Ali.
Yeah,
and
they're going to square off many snaps because Cam doesn't really move off that spot. You know where Nelson's going to be. He's the left guard. Now, Nelson's always been awesome, but the last couple of years he's been a little quieter. You know, I mean, he hasn't been the best left guard in the league. He's not a every year All-Pro type guy. This year he's better than he's been the last couple of years. You know, and I know I tweeted that out about Pro Football Focus, and I love Cam, and I think that I put it out there just so people, this whole defense stinks, everybody's terrible. No, that's not the case. Now, I don't think he's playing better than every defensive player on the planet besides Parsons and Garrett either. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty high praise.
That's very
that would be
praise.
by far his best season of his awesome career. But that one-on-one matchup's still about as good as you're going to get, and you're going to get it a lot.
Yes, you are. That is one that is unavoidable. I mean, those guys, you know, it's not a wide receiver and a defensive back, and could you move this guy around and those different things, and how do you get DK Metcalf away from Sauce Gardner, all those types of conversation. This is two grizzly bears in a phone booth.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and you're right, they've done it before, and Cam has won more often than not.
He has, and hopefully that will continue, because like I said, Captain Obvious, the trenches are massively important on every Sunday, Thursday, Monday, whenever the game is played, every matchup, but particularly in this one, particularly for the Steelers defense, because you have to at least make the Colts a little predictable.
Yep.
You have to at least win on first and second down in the run game, where Indianapolis has been doing a ton of winning. Matt, to speak to that.
Real quick, too, I mean, Nelson's their best lineman, but their O-line overall is definitely top 3. I mean, it's a very good group.
It's
well coached, and
certainly if you were power ranking the 32 offensive lines in the NFL, they might not be number 1, but you wouldn't get too far down that list
close,
until you would.
No one's playing better,
and especially right now.
Yeah.
Matt, and this speaks to that, because you know you have a lot of success on first down. That means you're running the ball well. That means you're winning in the trenches. Mm-hmm. You're setting your offense up to move the sticks, to have a lot of success. The Colts offense on first downs in the NFL, second best in EPA, fourth best in success rate.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it's because they want your heavy personnel on the field. So this is something that I just want everyone to understand. I'll just take a quick sidebar. There's a linebacker shortage in the NFL. Just off the ball, Fred Warner, and then there's who knows who number 2 is. The Steelers are above average in that department.
Absolutely.
I still believe that. I still believe that, no matter how the defense has played the last 2 games. So this has been a Shanahan thing forever. This is why use check's so important, and Kittle, and they don't go 3 wide, because they want to make teams put linebackers on the field. I mean, that is an offensive-minded thing, is how can we get this team to put as many linebackers on the field?
What's the weakest position group amongst
Nobody's good at
defenses
this
in the NFL?
Yeah.
Off-ball linebacker.
No one's good at it.
Let's make them keep 2 of those guys on the field.
And maybe even 3, I mean, which is rare. But, I mean, yes. We don't want you in your dime and putting defensive backs out there or extra pass rushers. So they're really good about that, and that's when they use their 13 personnel a lot, too, is to keep you in personnel groups to their liking. And they make you kind of play left-handed out of it. And the Steelers have to be very aware of that, which I'm sure they are. Don't get me wrong.
It better be.
But this team's really, really good at it.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
They certainly are. They are really good at offense.
They're good at everything right now.
I mean, they are. They've got 1 or 2 areas of the defense where it feels like they're a little suspect.
They're okay. Yeah,
they're
right.
okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say bad, just maybe they haven't been challenged.
Right. And playing with the lead really helps, too.
It
absolutely does.
100%. And I also think that's part of, listen, their second, and we'll get to this on the other side in a minute, their secondary gives up, again, like the 5th most yards in the NFL.
Yeah.
I do think part of that is kind of chicken or an egg thing of they're playing with a lead so often, so teams are throwing against them.
I mean, the fourth quarter, Buckner's got a baseball cap on, and they're playing the Titans last week, and Ward's getting some garbage time.
Exactly right.
So some of these numbers get skewed a little because the late in game stuff doesn't matter because they beat everyone so much. One thing I wanted to mention about their offense, though, and this is by no means discrediting what they've done, but their play caller, Steichen, he's kind of on a roll right now, too.
Boy, is he.
Call
him Butter because he's on a roll.
Yeah, he's really good. The offense is the best in the league. I'm not saying, but he's also that hitter that every pitch looks like a beach ball. He can't do anything wrong right now. He'd probably even sit here and tell you that.
He's shooting free throws, and the basket is 3 times the size.
He's like, this is as good as it gets. And that's bound to get back to the means a little bit. You know what I mean?
And again, hopefully you're the team that can do that.
Right.
They have maybe get some frustrations creeping into their game that they haven't faced yet this season.
And they've been really healthy on offense.
And they certainly have. They certainly
I'm
have.
Not, begging for injuries, but see if they can overcome something if it's in game,
Let's hope that transpires, certainly. So there's kind of a 5-Star Friday focus. Steelers defense, Colts offense. When we come back to kickoff hour number 2, we'll spin the block. We'll talk Steelers offense against the Colts defense. More thoughts, more numbers from Matt here as we continue to break down the big one Sunday at Acrisure Stadium. Halfway home here on a Friday. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
We're humbled and excited to be in these 5-star matchups.
5-star matchup. Somebody leaving here with a loss. Not going to be us.
Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Hour number 2. Happy Halloween as you're probably rolling into or getting close to trick-or-treating hour here for most places. You got Lebo trick-or-treat, Upper St. Clair. Are you technically now Upper St. Clair or
we're
Lebo?
St. Clair, yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
We get a busy one. You've been to my street.
I've been
it's
to
a
your house a few
cul-de-sac.
times,
and
yeah.
It's busy for 2 hours straight. Pretty packed.
Ours is too. We've had over 100 kids the last couple years.
Oh, yeah, every year.
My wife
Every
is
year.
real nervous. She's always like, did we get enough? Did we get enough candy?
My wife will sets up a huge tent at our mailbox at the top of the driveway. We get the fire table out.
Yep.
You can the kids come into the tent and it's all decorated and neoned up and it's a whole deal.
It's exciting, and I know I've shared this with you too, but
music, smoke,
everyone's told me, once your kids reach a certain age, holidays become so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I kind of missed out on that on this past Christmas because the Steelers had a 1:00 game, and so I was gone from 8 a.m. till 8 o'clock at night type thing.
Right.
But I'm very excited. I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old now. They're into it. They're dressing up.
I'll be getting texts from University of Kentucky and much different festivities. I have a feeling.
No doubt. You'll laugh at this. I took my daughters to daycare today. My oldest, a 4-year-old. All the other girls in her class are dressed as princesses and Disney characters.
Yeah.
She's dressed as a chocolate chip cookie.
Nice.
I'm like, sweetheart, this is why I love you, babe.
That's great.
This is why you are my girl. So yeah, looking forward to it tonight. Hope everybody has some fun and get some good pictures and some good candy and all that stuff. Matt, let's continue with 5-Star Friday here.
Yes.
Like I said, let's spin the block now and talk about Steelers offense against this Colts defense. Okay, so not a pushover.
No, it's not a pushover.
But not as daunting as the Indianapolis offense.
Agreed.
So is this I
don't even think it's one of the best defenses they've faced this year.
I agree with you on that.
Put New England, Seattle, Cleveland, probably the Packers. And those are all really good. Don't get me wrong, but it's a good defense. It's not an overwhelming defense.
And we talked about this a little bit in the open of the show when I was trying not to suffocate myself in that Halloween mask. But how do you go about what's your big personnel usage look like this? 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 6 offensive lineman package. And we'll dig into it, but from a 30,000-foot view, from a macro view, where is the best area to attack? What is the best way to attack this Indianapolis defense?
Yeah, and again, I don't have a great vibe for that other than try to make them do what they don't want to do. They want to be in nickel. They'll always, when in doubt, they'll go to nickel. That's where they're most comfortable, and that's not uncommon.
That's
in this
their
league.
base.
That's their
personnel,
base. It really is. There's teams that live in nickel no matter what.
Buffalo's like that.
Yeah, and it's a nice world to live in if you have the athletes to do it. That you can be big and little at the same time without substituting. I don't know the NBA well, but
Positionless basketball.
People say that if you have a defense that doesn't have to sub when they put their bigs in, versus their little guys, well, you're in a good spot, And I think Indy kind of looks at themselves that way. But if you're going to come out in 13, I would expect, and this isn't uncommon in any game, and this is why teams script, but I would think you'll see a wide variety of offensive personnel groups to see what forces them to go to base. We're going to put 12 out there. Oh, we got nickel. Well, what if we put 12 with Freiermuth and Washington as opposed to Freiermuth and Smith? Okay, they're still in nickel. What if we throw all three out there? Are they still in nickel?
Sure.
What if we throw all three in extra offensive linemen? Are they still in nickel? To the point where we're going to be bigger and badder than you, and we want to get your big people on the field. And I also think the less defensive backs they have on the field, the harder it is to help those corners that are suspect. It's a below average group of corners, and not really their fault. They got kind of hit by injury and retirements and things like that.
Yeah. And again, that's where I struggle with their, bottom of the basement NFL pass defense rankings.
Yeah.
Is it the fact that you can make some hay there? Is it the fact that, as we said in the previous hour, they're just playing with a lead so often that teams are throwing the ball against them, which
It's certainly true.
Inflates that number. I do think it's probably probably a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. But I think what's most appealing, other than the cornerback situation, is they definitely have a history of not really getting off the field particularly well. As good as their offense is, and I know they score quickly at times, they're not a great time possession team. That stat that I cite in my packet every week about turning a new set of downs or a set of downs into a new set of downs, they're right at the bottom of the league with that. So they definitely allow a lot of plays to be run, which I like that part. I'll be honest. I think there's a chance that there's a lot of points scored in this game. It might be like 38-35.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I know you've made this joke before, so not to step on your toes, but it feels like the proverbial, everything used to be a race to 20 with the Pittsburgh Steelers for the last handful of years.
And their numbers coming into the season, like over the last 5 years, if they got to 20, if the defense didn't allow 20, they almost always won.
Correct. Whereas now
it's changed drastically.
You scored 31 in Cincinnati, and it wasn't enough to get it done. You scored 25 against Green Bay, and you lost by 2 possessions by double digits. And, Matt, it is the third highest over-under.
Is it?
Third. I was right. Third highest over-under of the Sunday slate is this one at 50.5. The only ones that are higher are Chiefs and Bills. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
And Bears and Bengals.
They don't play defense.
Because they don't play defense.
Yeah. Bengals are always going to be high.
So I am with you on that. We'll obviously, at the end of this hour, give our final score predictions. But, yeah, it ain't going to be 17-14. It ain't going to be your favorite 13-9 joke to make at my expense all the time.
And you just can't view it that way coming into the game and coach that way and just assume that that's how the game's going to go, because it's very unlikely to right now.
And I think you phrased it in a perfect way when we were talking to Missy Matthews in the first hour. The way the offensive line is played, the way Jaylen Warren is played, the confidence that they certainly have in DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin and maybe now in Roman Wilson as well. And the tight ends that it hasn't been consistent, but they've all had their moments where they've shown.
Collectively, they've been.
Collectively.
It's been a strong room.
I don't even want to say that this is the week that you cut it loose, because you don't go from. The numbers back this up. The 32nd of 32 teams in terms of conservative play calling and fourth down aggressiveness and that type of thing, to all of a sudden into the top 5 or the top 10. But there's got to be more of a trust factor with that offensive line now. There's got to be more of a trust factor with everybody else, all the other playmakers, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers around Aaron Rodgers.
And you got 2 months of working with Rodgers, too.
Let's see it. Again, I'm not saying you go Dan Campbell and every fourth down that's not fourth and long, we're going for it and hyper aggressive. But let's meet in the middle somewhere.
I think you don't default to punting or field goals or 4th and 1.
The Boz can make this, no problem. Let's just take the points.
Yeah, I think that's not a losing, but a risky way to play this game. And again, I might try a fake punt or something goofy. I know you can't do surprise on sides anymore, but somewhere I want to steal one, especially if I haven't been winning the turnover battle drastically. Now, I don't mind if they throw quite a bit because a lot of their quick throws, the Rodgers throws, are high completion. They do keep the clock moving. But I also can't live with you're running the ball well, you come out of the half, and Warren gets 3 carries in the second half. Ain't going to cut it. I mean, you're just begging to put your defense in a bad situation, and they're already in a bad situation.
That's something that you and I have discussed a couple times this week. I talked about that on DVE today with Chad Tyson. I do this quick hitter thing, just a short, 3-4 minute with Chad Tyson, where he fires off a bunch of Steeler questions.
Rapid fire, yeah.
And one of them was along the lines of how do you protect this defense? How do you insulate this defense? And I was like, I understand. Every time we bring this up, I was like, I might need more than 20 seconds to answer this question.
Yeah, this is a big picture thing.
Because every time we bring this up, everyone's like, well, how can you blame the offense? They're the side of the football that's doing their job.
They are.
We're not blaming the offense.
No.
But
it's a team game.
It's a team game.
Yeah.
And in the same way, Matt, I used this example with you earlier in the season. I always remember that it was 2 or 3 years ago when the Steelers went down to Miami for Sunday Night Football, and they lost a 17-14, 19-13, whatever the final score was, a low-scoring game to Miami, where Kenny Pickett threw 3 interceptions, the last one really bad when the Steelers had a chance to win the game, and the Steelers defense kept them in it,
Yeah.
but they didn't force the splash plays. And Mike Tomlin at his post-game press conference, the first thing he said was, well, the difference in that game was their defense got takeaways and ours didn't. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, Coach, really? Your quarterback threw 3 interceptions.
You only scored 14 points.
The last one really bad when you had a chance to win the game, and we're going to throw the defense under the bus. But then when you step back and think about it, it's not throwing that he knows what it takes for them to win.
Yeah.
He doesn't expect he doesn't expect the offense. It's the defense who has to grab the other unit by the collar and drag them to victory. Whereas when he spoke on this Tuesday and he talked about we got to get in the end zone more often as opposed to settling for threes, I'm hoping that shoe is on the other foot now, that it has to be the offense. It's not blaming the offense, but it's saying, hey, at this point in time, we expect more from you. We need more from you.
You're right, because you're the better unit.
Because you're the better unit.
I mean, and the defense was the better unit then in the Miami game. I'm certain of it.
Absolutely.
And it's got to be hard for him, because it's been half a decade where you've had to play a certain way week after week, 17 games a year, and then into the playoffs, and that's a tough way to live. But you knew we can't lose a turnover battle. We can't live up 20 points. Like, the numbers that back that stuff up are crazy over a 5-year stretch. Basically, since Ben's elbow surgery is if you lose a turnover battle, you lose. If you give up 20, you lose. Okay, well, at least I know what lane I have to stay in. The lanes have changed.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have.
And and I know a lot of people that are listening to this, whether you're listening, live on SNR, back in podcast mode, whether you hopped onto YouTube to see Matt and I's goofy Halloween intro, you're probably thinking, well, the Steelers coaching staff, Mike Tomlin, they're stubborn. They dig their heels in and they do it their way.
Right.
And to an extent, I'm not going to push back on that.
Sure.
But he coached and they operated completely, like we talk about the last 5 years and how it needs to start to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Before those 5 years, it was when it was Ben,
super aggressive.
When it was Ben, when it was Bell, when it was Brown, when it was
one of the
best offenses in the league.
Yeah,
they operated as we got to score 30-some points a game to win.
No, they did things like score on the opening
drive and go for 2.
Go for 2. Yeah, exactly.
When you have Ben, a Hall of Fame quarterback, and AB, antics off the field aside, a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Oh, he's going.
Lev Bell, who was,
he was the best back in the league
was
for
the
3 years.
best back in the league for a handful of years. You had a offensive line with, I don't know if Pouncey or DeCastro ever get into the Hall of Fame, but they're in the Hall of really good.
They're in the Ring of Honor.
Exactly right. And Al Villanueva was a 2-time Pro Bowler, and Ramon Foster was really good, and Heath Miller.
Right.
I mean, they were able to switch their philosophy from the typical Mike Tomlin way of playing.
I know.
Before that and after that, it's been bookended by this score 20 points, hold them to just 1 or 2 touchdowns. That is the one part of this that gives me some optimism, gives me some faith. I've seen Mike Tomlin change his hand of cards before.
Yeah, I think people forget that it's possible.
It's been a while, but we have seen them do it before, and I'm not even saying again that it has to be that drastic now, but maybe it's time to start.
You got to lean more.
Hey, for 5 years we had red paint and we painted the barn red, but now we have blue paint and we got to start painting some of these panels blue.
Yeah, and in some ways, that's good. You actually have a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like,
you got an offense that can score 30.
Right. If this was the offense from that Pickett Miami game,
my goodness,
they'd be one-win team. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have the ability to change. At least they do.
So they do.
And oh, by the way, the defense can play better.
Certainly.
I mean, that's allowed too.
That is absolutely allowed, and in fact, it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even saying that the defense has to get to preseason expectations where they're one of the best units in the league. But if they can
it can't be one of the worst.
If they can be average on defense,
yeah,
and what this offense is doing, I mean, that's how you get back into winning some games and feeling like we felt about this team a couple weeks ago when they were sitting at 4-1 and looked like they had a clear path to hosting a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's getting a little bit murkier. Baltimore Ravens took care of business last night down in Miami.
Yep.
When we return on the other side, before we finish with Steelers and Colts, thoughts and predictions, we will go around the league, talk about that big win for the Ravens last night, these other games on the Sunday slate, around the NFL when we return as we continue to roll along here on a Friday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, it is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Stretch here. It is time to go around the league, but before we do that, Matt, I wanted to make sure to mention pretty cool weekend on tap for the Steelers. Obviously, it's a big game against the Colts on Sunday, but this is also, and this is making me feel old, I'm sure you'll say the same, it's the 20-year reunion celebration weekend for the Steelers Super Bowl 40 champion teams. The one for the thumb, Jerome Bettis and Detroit team.
How about it?
20 years, of course, Super Bowl 60 coming up here in February. It is alumni weekend for the Steelers. With that, they're honoring the 20th anniversary of the team. Myself and Rob King will be down there at the dinner tomorrow night at 5:30.
Cool.
Broadcasting on the Steelers Audio Network on Steelers Nation Radio here.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I've done a couple of those in the past, and it's always pretty intimidating for me.
Yeah.
Because you're there with all the who's who of the Mean Joes and the Mel Blunts. And
I did one, and it was like the 79th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah, 79 team. It was all the big time.
Which, as you can imagine, this is all before my lifetime.
It's similar because, like, I was a pup whenever they were awesome. And,
I am so looking forward to tomorrow night because that's my wheelhouse, man.
That's your era,
I was a freshman in high school when that team won the Super Bowl. Like, I really started to fall in love with the football and Steelers and WVU when I was in like 6th grade. And so this was like the first team I cared about that won a championship.
And they got really good when you were at a great age.
They were really good at a great age. These guys are, again, like I've told you this before, I've shared this before, takes a lot to the business that we work in. Like, it takes a lot to strike me, for me to get starstruck.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys,
my
goodness, like, this is my wheelhouse. These are the guys that were my heroes growing up, and I'm very excited to. It'll just be like, it's like speed dating. Like, they'll pull these guys like every 10 minutes.
Oh, that's exactly how it works.
One of them to come and sit down with Rob King and
everybody else will be roaming around, and they're all laughing and joking with each other.
I'm very excited because, like I said, I mean, this is my wheelhouse. This is when I was a die-hard, sleep with my terrible towel the night before the game, Steeler fan. And these guys, the first team in my lifetime to the Penguins won some cups when I was in diapers. The first team that I could really follow and enjoy and love to win a championship in my lifetime. So Rob King and I will have the broadcast tomorrow night, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And also, big shout out to the Steelers video team, Matt.
I'm going to watch this tonight.
A one for the thumb Steelers story documentary that I am going to watch tonight to gear myself up for tomorrow as well. Everybody involved with those, Nate, Emil, our guy TV does stuff there, Alec, Jason, it's a whole crew of Craig, a bunch of people that I'm probably forgetting that I should be naming as well, too.
I get the impression they put a lot of work into this one, too.
Sounds
awesome.
They do a ton of stuff behind the scenes with all these cool interviews, cool stories. So that's up now on the Steelers YouTube page on Steelers.com, one for the thumb. It's 20 years, man.
It makes you feel old, too.
It really makes you feel old.
I was just sitting there, I'm like, what was I doing 20 years ago? I was 33,
You were my age.
Quite had kids. I bet my son was probably in his mom's womb about this big, probably. So I'm like about to be a dad. I'm like, okay, that's probably about right. But I was in this business. I mean, I was working for ESPN.
I was a freshman in high school, living the dream, baby. As my Pittsburgh Steelers got one for the thumb, and yeah, that'll be a lot of fun this weekend. Is kind of I was going to say side story, but I don't even know if it's a side story with everything going on. That's going to be front and center.
That's cool.
And obviously, if you're going to the game,
so a lot of those guys will be in town.
They're
getting
honored at halftime.
Yeah, exactly,
So that was kind of the last piece of what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Of course, if you're at the game Sunday, don't rush to the bathroom or rush to grab another drink at halftime because you might want to see see the ceremony for these guys, which is going to be pretty cool.
And this doesn't help them block and tackle and game plan and all that, but I do think you feel their presence on game day if you're even Rodgers and Cam that have been around.
Absolutely.
Or Rodgers probably played against some of these, or definitely played against some of these dudes, in some way, shape, or form.
It's a great point.
I mean, but still, I'm sure the players recognize who's in the building.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's been a lot of that magic on these alumni weekends in the past.
The Immaculate Reception game.
The Immaculate Reception game where the Steelers scored in the final minute to win it. And hopefully we get some more of that mojo, some more of that magic from these Super Bowl 40 champions who will be in town and being honored for their 20th anniversary this weekend. Matt, the Ravens took care of business last night, 28-6.
Yeah.
They moved to 3-5. All of a sudden,
I'm worried.
All of a sudden,
you lose the Colts, so all of a sudden it's a one-game difference.
One-game difference. Even if you beat the Colts, it's only a 2-game difference, and you still have 2 games against Baltimore. Yeah, I don't think they're going away. Unfortunately, as much as we would have liked to have kind of coasted here with 2 losses in a row for the Steelers, 2 wins in a row for Baltimore, that margin for error is zapping up pretty quickly.
Yeah, 100%. And I posted this thing. I just retweeted what Warren Sharp put out because to this point, the Ravens have faced the 29th easiest, so the 3rd hardest schedule.
Yeah, I don't like this.
I know.
You sent this to me this morning. I don't like this.
Not great. And going forward, they face the 6th easiest. Meanwhile, in case you're curious, the Steelers were the 22nd easiest to this point, so a hard schedule. And it gets harder. It becomes the 25th easiest. So you never know. I mean, when the schedule came out, you thought you're getting burrowed twice, and you're not, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously those Steeler-Raven games are going to loom. But they've won 2 in a row, and I didn't think the Ravens even played that great early in the game. Frankly, Miami just, as usual, just blew a lot of opportunities and self-destructive things. And I do think it's noteworthy. I just want to throw this out there. The Dolphins parted ways. They didn't use the word fired. Mutually decided to part ways with their GM, but not their coach.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Because Tuesday's a trade deadline.
Trade deadline looming.
Thursday, they're done, so they have more time to deal with this stuff than any. They just lost. I assume the Dolphins will be a seller. But I wonder if the owner and former GM were torn on, should we trade Phillips? Should we trade Waddle? No, I don't want to trade that guy. We'll trade that guy. Now, whoever's in charge now is going to do whatever
they want.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so that may change their tone a little bit.
I would think
they're out of it.
I would think it would make them a much larger seller.
I would assume that's what I'm thinking too.
Because maybe
I'm not saying Jalen Waddle's going to be a Steeler on Tuesday, but you know, right? If he's the one.
But there's a lot of pieces on that team that any playoff team would be interested in.
Oh yeah, there's
both
4 or
sides of the
5
ball.
guys you could pluck off that team and make yourself better. No question about it. But I think everyone's aware of this. The Ravens aren't dead yet at all.
Monty Python.
Not dead yet.
Not dead yet.
And
we're feeling better.
It's a little worrisome too. Steelers lose this week, and the math all of a sudden is not nearly in your favor as it once was.
Man, things happen quickly in this league. Let's get into it. The first November Sunday, road's starting to narrow. Turkey's going to be on the table here in a couple weeks before we know it. The Bears are in Cincinnati. Maybe this is kind of an elimination type game for both of these teams. Cincy, if you get back to 4-5, you're still hanging around. The Bears, if you fall to 4-4, I guess you're not out of it, but it's going to be tough in that
division,
NFC playoff picture. Chicago, a 2.5-point favorite in Cincinnati.
Torn on this one. Neither one's playing great defense. I do think Flacco will do. I think there could be a lot of points in this game.
Second highest over-under
Is
of the
it?
day.
Yeah, I think you said that before.
Behind only Chiefs-Bills.
I guess I'll take the Bears, but very reluctantly. I don't love giving points on the road for what I think are pretty equal teams.
I think I'm going to lay the points with Cincinnati.
Okay.
I'll oppose you on this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it.
I just feel like Chicago, too, has been much better at home than they have been on the road, and that's typical of a young team.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Young
right.
quarterback, first-time head coach. I like that number, though. If the number's 3.5, I'd take the points for Chicago. At 2.5, I'm going to lay them with Cincinnati.
Okay.
One of the bigger spreads of the weekend. Tied for the second biggest spread of the weekend. The Lions host the Vikings in Detroit. Matt, what do the Lions do to bad teams?
Beat them bad,
They
right.
beat them bad. Can they
I don't know if they're a bad team or
I don't know if
not.
they're a bad team,
Yeah.
but they're very shaky at the quarterback position, which is not what you want to be against this
Right.
Lions group.
And McCarthy returns.
McCarthy
so
does
we'll
return.
at least get some more data on him. I haven't loved what I've seen thus far. I didn't love him coming out of Michigan. I just think this is a brutal game to come back to, too. I'm going to take the Lions.
I might lay the points on this one just because a division game, double digit. I mean, 9.5. That means they got to win by 10. That's a big number for a division game.
It is.
And I could see another scenario where Detroit is up 14 late and the Vikings score a touchdown that doesn't matter and they end up
100%.
backdoor covering something like that. I don't know, though. What does Detroit do in these type of games? They blow teams out. I'm with it. I'll lay the points with the Lions.
Okay.
I'll lay the points with the Lions. Packers at home, biggest spread. No, sorry. Pardon me. There's
a couple big ones.
A couple big ones this weekend. So Lions, Vikings, third biggest spread. This is the second biggest spread of the weekend. The Packers hosting the Panthers at Lambeau. 12.5-point favorites are Green Bay.
Ooh, seems like a lot. I am impressed, though, with Green Bay for sure. I think they're hitting their stride at the right time. I thought Jordan Love played a great game, Steeler defense aside. I'll take the Packers, but that's a big number. I mean, Carolina usually runs the ball pretty well.
I think I'm going to take the points on this one.
Okay.
Green Bay coming off of an emotional victory, right?
Sure.
Come from behind, emotional victory against their old quarterback, two of the biggest brands in all of American sports, Sunday Night Football, comeback win, all those different things. Green Bay gets it done, but Carolina finds a way to keep it, within 10 points or so.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
I'll take the plus 12.5 with the Panthers.
That's a lot of points.
The Titans hosting the Chargers. This is one of the bigger road favorite spreads that you'll see all year. It makes sense, though. In Nashville, in Music City, the Chargers are 9.5-point favorites on the road.
I hate taking all these big favorites.
Same.
But
There's
I'm
some
going to
big
stick with
spreads
there's
this
some
week.
big spreads. And I just think Tennessee's broke.
I think that they are, Cancun on 3.
Yeah.
That's the reference that the athletes say, right? When you're already thinking about your off-season plans. Cancun on 3, boys. I think the Chargers roll.
I do too. But Chargers are in a pretty good spot.
They are. They have navigated, I think, the toughest stretch of their schedule. They got Joe Alt back.
It's big.
They're playing. I think it's coming together for them at the right time. Falcons are in New England. This one kind of seems like some rat poison to me, Matt. This feels like a line that's too good to be true. The Patriots, only a 5.5-point favorite over the Falcons.
Yeah.
I would have thought that would have been more like 7.5.
Yeah, and I think it's because Atlanta's so up and down. Like, they've had a couple of really nice wins, a couple nice
If
days.
Bijan plays well and they keep you off the field, and
they need to feature him more, and I don't quite understand why. I still think the Patriots are a bit of a fugazi. I don't think they're as good as their record, and they probably won't be. They're good on both sides of the ball. I'm going to take the Pats.
I am too, but I worry about that. I'd like this. I'd like this a lot more if it was, New England plus 7.5, and I could take the points with the Falcons. But I'll lay 5.5. I will lay 5.5 begrudgingly. The Giants are at home. This Scattaboo, Giants. Now, no neighbors, no Scattaboo.
Yeah, it's getting pretty thin.
Our
there.
pets' heads are falling off. That's a Dumb and Dumber reference for you right there. 49ers across the country, Matt, for one of those vaunted everybody struggles except for the Seattle Seahawks.
Right.
1:00 East Coast game. San Francisco, though, a 2.5-point favorite.
Taking the Niners, but I do think that road trip is challenging.
I think it'll be ugly. It'll be low scoring.
Yeah, I just kind of trust
San
Shanahan to
Francisco
get
finds
this
a
one
way to
here.
get it
Yeah,
done.
Kittle's back. I think that they're trending kind of the right direction.
It's the right number for me. If it was 3.5,
Yeah,
I'd be a little more shy. But at 2.5, I'll lay the points with San Francisco.
it could be a stinker.
Certainly could. A couple big games here. Well, let's do this first. Let's finish off the 1 o'clock hour. I'll continue to do this in chronological order. This is a huge one, though. Texans hosting the Broncos.
Yeah.
Broncos, I tell you what, especially the Chiefs have to go to Buffalo. The Broncos will continue to have an opportunity to give themselves some cushion in that division. The Texans looking to hang on and get back to 500. Houston, a 1.5-point favorite, Matt, in the lowest over-under game of the weekend between maybe the two best defenses in the NFL. Just 40.5 is the over-under in this one. Houston, a 1.5-point favorite.
I thought Denver was going to be favored, but I'm still taking Houston. And again, I don't feel strongly about it. I think they are the two best defenses in the league. Usually if it's going to be a low slugfest, I'll take points. But I'm a Stroud believer. And I also think Nico returns, Surtain is out.
Yes.
I think it's a bad week for that to happen if you're Denver.
Totally.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't want to lose Pat Surtain at any time.
Sure.
But, especially the way that the Texans are playing now on offense and getting some reinforcements as well. Into the 4 o'clock hour, Raiders, Jags in Viva, Las Vegas. Raiders out of their bye week. Could they show any signs of life? Jacksonville at 4-3, still in a good spot. But if you fall to 4-4, you start to chase it a little bit. Jacksonville, a 2.5-point favorite in Las Vegas.
And I hated hearing the news. Travis Hunter got injured in practice yesterday and went to IR. And I was expecting him to blow up the second half of the year. I thought that was a real bummer.
To see that.
Part of me's like, man, Geno Smith and Pete Carroll are better than what they showed pre-bye. They know how to win games in this league. But then I look at like their O-line and the back seven, their defense, like they don't have any good players. I'm taking Jacksonville, but I don't love it.
Same. I want to give my guy Geno and I want to give Pete Carroll a little grain of salt coming out of the bye week, but I just don't see it for a Raiders team that has. No. You got to show me something before I start to believe in it. Rams at home hosting the Saints. This, Matt, is the biggest spread of the weekend. 14.5-point favorites at home or LA. Can they cover?
I'm taking the Saints just because I keep taking all the favorites. I think the Rams are great. I think the Saints
14.5 is a massive
over 14.
Number.
It's just I don't think the Saints are that bad.
You hear Arthur Moats yelling at us from out the hallway.
It crosses my mind when we have these conversations. Shuck's going to start. We'll see. I mean, I don't expect them to be great. But,
I would love to do that. Like Pursuta does this goofy kind of stuff with baseball because he's a gambling dork and a baseball dork, and they play 162 games. One of these years, I should bet like $5 on every team that is every underdog by 2 possessions or more. Just every Sunday, every team that's 14.5-point dogs.
Just see what your record is at the end of the year.
Just $5 and see how you do throughout the year.
Yep.
That'd be an interesting thing to do.
Win.
I bet you'd come out with more money than you started. Maybe not by a crazy amount, but I bet you'd get a little bit more than you would lose. Matt, the game of the week, certainly, especially from outside of a Steelers perspective, I'm kind of ticked off that this one's not the night game because I'll still be at the stadium at 4:25, Orchard Park. That place will be rocking as the Bills host the Chiefs. Chiefs a 1.5-point road favorite over Buffalo.
And I'm taking them. I don't feel
That's all they've done is beat the Bills.
Yeah, they certainly have a history. The Bills run the ball really, really well, but I still think the Bills' defense is by far the weakest of the 4 units. I mean, clearly, the other 3 are quite good. And 2 things. I think that they can all come in there with their strategies, but by the 4th quarter, it's going to be Allen versus Mahomes. Last one get the ball wins. Yeah, I mean, these 2 are just going to take over and be Superman battling it out. Yes, and I'm not saying I favor one or the other, but the fact that one team has Rashee Rice now and the other one doesn't, I think is enough. I really think the Bills are a receiver short.
Quarterback masterclass seminar coming in here.
So much fun to watch.
I'm gonna lay the points with Kansas City too. Matt, I told you I wavered on this a little bit at the beginning of the season, but I'm back to it now. The Chiefs, it's like as long as they have Reed and Mahomes, I'm gonna treat it like Belichick and Brady until Monty Python, until the body's cold. They're not dead yet, and in fact, I'm gonna pick them to go to the Super Bowl still.
Yeah, they're my choice right now. I think their line's getting healthier for this game too, and defense is pretty solid.
I know that place will be rocking, and you could probably even say Buffalo's due for one against Kansas City, but until the Chiefs are out of it, I'm going to continue to pick them. Sunday Night Football, last one here, Matt, before we go to break and pick the Steelers on the other side. The Commanders at home in a must-win spot at 3-5.
Yeah, it's getting hairy
if
for
they
them,
want to
right.
stay in a wild card playoff conversation, they've got the 5-2 Seahawks coming to town. Seattle, a lot of road favorites this week.
I know
too.
there's some weird lines this week.
Seattle 2.5-point road favorite.
Daniels is going to play.
Yes,
That's
which
good
is
news.
huge.
It's huge. It's huge. I like where they're.
I still think I'm laying them with Seattle though.
I am too. Seattle travels
They travel so well.
I think their defense is superb and should do a pretty good number against a good Washington offense. And Darnold's playing great. Smith-Njigba's playing great. I don't love the Washington corners or pass rush. Yeah, I think Seattle's just clearly a tier above Washington, if not two.
I completely agree, and I think that's going to play out on Sunday night. Matt, one more to go, and we have the Steelers' final practice report across the timeline. Some not so great news in there that we will get to when we return on the other side. We'll also pick Steelers-Colts Sunday, 1 o'clock at Acrisure Stadium. All that and more before we get out of here. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, final segment of the week on the way. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And here we go. Final segment of the week. That means we've got to predict how Steelers-Colts will play out. But before we get to that, we have got the final practice report of the week for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Matt, some less than encouraging news here. Ruled out at this point already. Scotty Miller with that finger injury. He didn't practice all week. That's not a surprise.
It doesn't bother me much, yeah.
But Corey Trice has been ruled out.
So he's not going to get activated.
He is not, as has Jabril Peppers, ruled out for Sunday's matchup with a quadricep injury.
Did we know he was banged up?
He was limited yesterday.
Okay.
Remember, we said that. He was.
I had high hopes for what he'd be doing. And
I did as well, too.
Okay.
I did as well, too. Good news is Kyle Duggar has been a full practice participant Thursday and Friday, so he's listed.
No idea what capacity, but
no
he's going to play.
idea what capacity but he's going to play. Cole Holcomb is questionable with that illness still that we talked about that he was dealing with yesterday. Malik Harrison is questionable. He's been a full participant all week in practice,
Just
but
choose to activate him or not. Yeah.
Same with Will Howard.
Yeah.
Chuck Clark listed as questionable as well too with an illness. So I wonder if it's
more
the same
safety
thing.
Stuff. So much safety stuff.
So much.
Yeah.
And again, I know we're not, crazy high on the way he's been playing as of late, but if you're down Peppers.
And Duggar doesn't know what he's doing
Duggar doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
And Chuck Clark's dealing with an illness, and you don't have Deshaun Elliott, obviously. You're like, how many bodies do we have here?
There might be more Ramsey at safety than I even thought.
It's starting to look that way, just out of necessity.
Right.
Good news, no injury designation for Isaac Seumalo.
That was the one I was most interested in.
No injury designation for Zach Frazier.
Sure.
No injury designation for Pat Freiermuth, who, remember, popped up with a quadricep issue on the practice report as well.
I think the CMLU stuff's huge, and I do think you'll see a lot of the massive jumbo package,
especially if the Colts are going to dig their heels in and stick in nickel like they like to do.
Yeah.
Bring that corned beef out, baby. Let's roll.
Okay.
Sunday, 1 o'clock, Matt, Acrisure Stadium. I mean, this is another one of those. The game of the week is the Chiefs and the Bills, but this
not far behind.
This is not far behind. The 7-1 best record in the league, Indianapolis Colts. The Steelers, who have lost 2 games in a row and are looking to hand Indianapolis a rare loss. The Colts, 3.5-point favorites on the North Shore Sunday afternoon.
You want to pick up first?
I'm going 31-28 Indianapolis. Matt, I've been saying this all year. Steelers have played 7 games. I've picked them to win all 7.
I have too.
And I said when we were in Dublin, I was going to pick the Vikings. The energy here switched me around. I'm not going to be the ultimate homer and pick this team to go 17-0, right?
Sure.
I will pick them to lose at some point. Almost did it last week, but I thought the Aaron Rodgers magic
I let
dust,
emotion change me for Vikings and Packers. One worked, one didn't.
And I started to do some of that this week. I was like, it's the Super Bowl 40 reunion, and this team is when everyone's written them off. Everyone's written them off is when Mike Tomlin and his teams typically do their best work. I got to go with Indy. I got to go with Indy 31-28. As much as I hate to do it,
I'm taking the Colts. I'm picking against the Steelers for the first time as well. I just think the Colts are a really good football team and truly are the best offense in the league. You're going to have to show me more on defense for me to say anything's fixed on that side of the ball. I just think they're very easy to attack. Now, they could definitely play. I expect them to play better than the last 2 weeks, but I got to see it first. And my score's not very kind. 36-23. I can see a lot of points in this game. I'm more confident about the 36 side of it than the 23 because I think that 23 could be pretty high. I could see them getting a 28. I could see the Steelers getting a 30. I just don't know. No one stopped this offense yet.
No.
And the Steelers really haven't stopped anybody lately. So I'm going with the precedent. I know it's harsh.
As Bob Labriola put it, this is a franchise that has struggled in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like that
over the last
stuff.
50 years. Hopefully some of that voodoo will pop its head in, rear its ugly head for Indianapolis in this one.
I'd like to see the field goal kicker miss a kick or two.
I'd like to see a field goal kicker miss a kick or two. I'd like to see Boswell only attempt one or two
right.
as well. And who knows? I have this weird feeling. You said this last week. I'm going to reverse it this week. You said last Friday you picked the Steelers to win, but you said don't be surprised if we come in here on Monday and we're talking about a lopsided Packers win.
Mm-hmm.
You ready for this? I'm picking the Colts to win. But don't be surprised if we come in here talking about a big-time Steelers win.
It would fit.
It would a 10-point win would 33-23, something like that.
And it'd be like, and if that happens, I bet we're saying Watt had 3 sacks. Steelers ended
Ramsey
up with
had an
6.
Interception.
Then they were +2.
Cam Hayward ate Quentin Nelson's lunch for 60 minutes.
I know he's not in the game, but Killebrew blocks a punt.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like one of those type of games.
Punt.
Right.
Peyton Wilson blocks a punt or something on special teams.
Right. That would not shock me either.
For whatever reason, I was thinking that. I was
kind
thinking
of the kind of games they win.
You know, I've told you this. The 2 times that I really think about the show are when I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
Okay, that paints a picture.
Right.
And when I'm driving here every day in the car. And I was like, you know what? I think the Colts are going to win. But a double-digit, 2-possession Steelers victory would not surprise me either.
Or even squeaking one out. Maybe they weren't the better team that day even. And Boz hits one from midfield to win it, you know?
We shall see. But it'll be a lot of fun regardless.
I'm excited about it.
Halloween weekend, alumni weekend. Let's get some voodoo rolling in our direction, get back in the win column here. But regardless, win, lose, or draw, we'll be back to break it down for you on Monday, as always. Big thanks to Missy Matthews for joining us today. For Mr. TV, Tyler V., our video producer, and Nathan, our new iHeart producer, hanging out in here and doing some training. Always good to have those guys with us and helping us with our Halloween shenanigans at the start of the show. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. Eat some candy. Enjoy the weekend. And we'll talk to you soon. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold at Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.